Right, hello and welcome to the first vlog of 2025. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting year, this one. I mean, obviously I've released 2 videos already, the Cadabra soundtrack and a compilation of caterpillars from 2024. But, yeah, it's not going to be a year I'm going to be filming. Well, for the first half of the year, you won't see many videos. Not vlogs anyway. I've got a big Minecraft series coming up, but that's pretty much it. I've got planned for definite. It's going to be a lot of videos all in a row, so that is something I'm looking forward to making. That'll probably be starting next. But yeah, there's a lot going on this year. A couple of big things. So really, for the first half of the year, you're not going to see much at all. I mean, I have got Alton Towers planned, obviously, for Intoxicator. I've got Milton Keynes, Warrington, and potentially Rother Valley. But it's quite a few things, but in terms of like after April, sort of between like May, June time, there's not really going to be anything, because there's a lot of important things going on. But so basically make the most of what is going to come out. But yeah, the first one here is the Taskmaster live experience, which is only temporary. I thought it was permanent at first, but it's only next month it shuts. Although they do keep extending it, but you can tell this building's like a venue. It's not an actual location for an attraction. I assumed it was going to be like the Crystal Maze, which you can find in Manchester and London as well. I've always wanted to do that. I've loved that show since I was a kid. I'm going to be making a video on that soon as well. But yeah, and I've started watching it again recently, really got into it. I'd love to do those experiences, probably the Manchester one, with it being the closest one to where I live. I'd love to do that at some point, because it's just that I don't know many people who'd be bothered about being involved in it, but at the same time, because you need to have like a big team, but I think that's got a similar system to this where you get put in a group, so it could work. I could try, and if I ever did Manchester, I'd definitely look into it. And that's similar to this, where basically there's some bits you can film, but you can't film the actual playing of the games or the tasks. It's just, but there are some walkthrough bits you can film. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't really know what to expect, apart from the fact that there's some artwork in here from the show that's genuine, and then there's the house, which is where the tasks are located, but that's pretty much it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to be like. Let's have a look in there. It's like a proper... There's probably some references somewhere. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Actually, with like the plants outside, it's quite immersive. I guess there's stuff like hidden in some of these as well, because it's one of them places there's going to be little Easter eggs like. Yeah, this is my favourite section. This is the bit I was looking forward to, actually. The actual one. I mean, there's so many things, like, yeah, the genuine artwork. Oh, okay. It's even got the points like given out. Oh yeah, anyone who's seen what's going on like this. Oh yeah. I like just a lot of interactive things in here as well. These would have been from remember this, you could send a picture in of your hands and then it'd get used on a wall for one of the tasks. Well, I've done the experience. I won't go into it now. I'll do it when I get outside because there's a lot to talk about there. Very good, and it feels permanent until you get to the very end, and that's what's so sad about this, the fact that it's only going to be here for another month. Yeah. hopefully it's done again somewhere else, or they find a permanent location, because the theming in there is amazing, and it's just a shame. I also noticed the props appear as well, and I can name some of the outfits. Some of them I should know, but others I can't tell because they're so kind of generic in a way. But yeah, this is from Series 12. Yeah, I knew it was a recent one. I spotted these ones earlier. So yeah, I didn't really get a chance to look around there. I also thought maybe that trophy is Kerry Godliman's that they managed to salvage from a garage, that as it was seen on the one task that someone else brought it in as a prize task because it was in a garage. I imagine that's Sue. Yeah. Yeah, Sam Campbell, yeah, one of my favourites actually. He's a perfect example of like a really strange sort of mind of thinking, but basically there's different types of winners. There's the really competitive ones, the really sort of strange ones that just surprise everyone, and they're the most interesting. Yeah, there's different types, and John Robbins is the most competitive, and he just wasn't. There's not been a contestant I dislike, but yeah, he was a little bit dull because it's supposed to be a comedy show, and all the other people in that series just kind of sort of shone more than he did, really. But yeah, up there you will notice some iconic ones like Phil Wang's outfit. I mean, it's memorable. You've got Paul Sinner and Ed Gamble and Katie Weeks, and then the one on the left is Aisling Bea. I'm not sure who the other three are, but I should know really. But I think one of the yellow shirt might be Doc Brown's, but I'm not 100% on that because obviously some people would slightly variations, but I think they're all the ones from the actual tasks in the house, which they normally wear the same outfit for the whole series. So I don't know. I mean, there's like that was from where they had to pick a room, and there was like a different task in each room. Oh, the little. I just noticed them, yeah. From Series 4. And I've just noticed that the Sam Campbell head up there is from the what was it, Series 16? That's it. Yeah, the Series 16 lineup, because when he won, he ripped his head off of the cutout because the cutouts were in the series. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, use the business end of your the thing that you're going to paint with, but what's the business end of a sausage? That's the question. This is, Series 11. I just think it's the art. This is my favourite bit of the walkthrough. I do like the fact they've got the caravan things, but there's loads of hidden stuff in here. Like that, the page with the cuddly toys in is from a Series 2 episode where Josh Widdicombe came back because they basically needed 2 teams of 3, and there's only 5 contestants on each series. So then that was on there. I think they had to like guess what the other members of the team had picked from like a selection of items. It was something like that, and they had to sort of give clues for it. It is making me want to go through all the different episodes again, because I've watched them all again recently, but it took a few years because, well, it was like in between the new series. Every week I'd watch an episode. This is what I found interesting. I saw earlier. Yeah, Joe Brand drew on this chair, and it was never used, so it's no one's really seen this until the experience, I don't believe. But yeah, there's like loads of stuff on there. You've got one of the portraits there. Yeah, there's in the corridor at the entrance to the house, you've got all the different portraits. When I go through it, don't... oh, this is an actual... I didn't even realise this was here. Yeah. What's it? My favourite in Series 5, actually. But, well, very underrated, actually, because it came second and people remembered it being awful, but he was one of them. I think he kind of was a bit hard on himself a long time, and then he came second. Yeah, you've got to find the aubergines. There's one on the trophy. I've seen that one. I don't know where the other ones are. There's probably one in here. The model. And then you've got the shop. Which, it's quite small. I wish there was like, if you know I collect resins and things, I wish there was like a mini version of the trophy, or like a resin, or a resin at the house. That would be really good. Yeah, that is the only thing I wish they sold in the shop, because there's not much like physical merch that's based on the experience itself and not like just the show in general. So yeah, I love this one. Yeah, that was iconic. Yeah, but the lights turn off and they had to draw the rainbow in the right order with the colours, and he was like, oh, I can't see the colours. That's the task. But yeah, he's one of my favourite. I mean, Series 5 is my favourite series, so... Yeah, it's just, it was the first series I ever watched, like, full episodes of, so... The only thing I wish they had in here was the one where they had to draw the person in the caravan, where Hugh Dennis drew. We used a mirror, but I think, yeah, we all know what actually happened, and I don't think he got disqualified, but I think he got like 1 point because it was just he was like, I'm looking at a reflection of her and not the actual person, but yeah, it was the title of the episode. It's one of my favourite ones, that as well. I mean, the first 5 series is my favourite, and that's where you actually exit. I think that's the switchboard was from something as well. I can't remember what the task was because I wish it said like what episode that was. But yeah, basically I've had to go in there 3 times because there's a problem with the photo, so when I put the photo up at the end you'll see that there's green screen issues. But yeah, from the final task, there we go. Yeah, that's the aubergine that I'd see. Yeah, it's a really good attraction, this, and I just wish it was permanent, because you go through the house, this bit maybe looks a bit temporary, but you go through the house and you're like, how is this temporary? You know, it's so well put together. It's like, I'm trying not to compare this to a theme park, because not everything has to be about theme parks, I think we all know that. But basically like Compound at Alton Towers, it's in a marquee, but they've done all the ceiling, so you can't tell it's in a marquee. That's kind of what they've done. And that's, again, it's like, that's a temporary thing, but it's done so well. That's the thing with this as well. It's very similar, actually, the setup. And the spider there, I imagine that's the real spider. Am I the spider? Is what Catherine Parkinson said. And I remember the clip of Johnny Vegas dragging it along in the trailer for the final. Yeah, it makes me want to watch all the episodes again, honestly. Yeah, there's a few things like the dome here, Patatas, the cat. Yeah. And then you've got the spider. Well, they had to attach the legs. Right. With a bit of a quieter Canada lake now. And that is it for the Taskmaster experience. And I hope that it does get relocated. Because I don't want this to be the last time that I visit, because I've really enjoyed it, especially so. Right, basically don't watch the rest of this now if you don't want spoilers, because, well, you're not really supposed to give anything away if people haven't been here, so unless you've been here, or if you want to find out what happens, then watch it, but other than that, I don't think there's any point continuing, really. So you're basically going through the Hall of Fame, and there's 2 different ones, and there's 4 doors. So you've got Melon Buffet or Absolute Casserole, which, well, if you've seen the show, you'll know what the references are for. One's from Series 1, one's from Series 11. So, yeah. And basically they have different tasks. Now, because of the whole photo situation, I actually got to see a little bit of the one that I didn't see, but I'll get onto that. So the one I did was Melon Buffet, and I got the cow symbol. So basically you get given a lanyard at the start with a colour, and that colour just tells you what time to go in. On it, it's got a letter and a symbol. So there's like a cow was the one I had. I think there's an egg, potentially, a duck, a potato. I think that's the 4 anyway. But, so they all have the different symbols on them. Then you have to line up in alphabetical order for that symbol. You go into the Hall of Fame, which is basically just a room decorated like a generic corridor in the house, and it's got, like, I don't think it's every portrait, but I think it's everyone apart from obviously the series that they've last filmed, because I imagine that's portraits still in the house, unless maybe the series 20 portraits in the house, but I don't think they would have revealed the series 19 one anyway. So yeah, I think it goes up to series 18, but I'm not 100% sure, because I was trying to look out for them, but we ended up going in. So you line up with a symbol. You go into the first room. You see Greg on the portrait, who basically tells you the rules of the whole attraction. And then you see Alex in a corridor. Then you meet little Alex Horn. So yeah, he's the version of the assistant that you see. So you do actually have an assistant in there. Then you basically, but you have to guess his name, and then it's just Alex. But yeah, you then sort of have to play the first game, which in the one I did, because obviously there's two, so there's 4 different groups of symbols, there's 4 different routes you can take, and there's 2 of each, basically. So the one I did, we start off on the table, and you have to guess how many times you can bounce a bouncy ball off the table. Without, if it lands in the hole, you're disqualified. So it has to bounce all the way to the end. No one's landed in the hole in my group, and yeah, I was a bit stupid with the first one and guessed 12, and it only bounced about 4 or 5 times, maybe even 3 times. It was terrible. I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking maybe if I could bounce it loads of times, like with a small bounce, maybe that, but no. So the first task, yeah, I've done terrible. But there's always got to be someone who's a bit terrible. I think I'm a bit like, I don't know, someone sort of in the middle who starts off terrible and gets better, but it wasn't enough to save me at the end of the experience. The point system, basically, the people who come in first 5 places, which I did end up getting into 5th at one point, and then I ended up dropping off in the last task, which was just because of the points that people had got previously and when they'd added up and stuff. So I think I came 6th or 7th altogether. It wasn't that bad, really. Maybe 8th. I don't know. I can't remember, but I was fairly close to getting in 5th. But yeah. So yeah, and if there's a draw, then they basically stay in that place until the end, where you do a tie break, which basically chooses the top 5 then. So, like if there's a draw with 5th place, then they'll do a tie and it'll explain who's going to be in 5th. The second task, you're in. It was completely luck based. The first one kind of was, but it was completely luck based. You basically had to walk around a room and decide a button that would turn on the red lights in the middle. I think they had a little bit of an issue with it, because when the last light was supposed to win, the light didn't turn on, but it did play the right sound effect, so I think they're having a bit of an issue with the lights there, but that was the only problem with it, really. Because it was like, well, yeah, you should have won, but it just didn't turn on. So yeah, it was luck based. I just chose one light because I thought it's a button under like a fake light bulb that was like a hollow shell without the bulb in it. So I was thinking that's just my logic, and it wasn't. But you know, so I didn't get anything for the first 2. But again, it was just luck, and you had to run around the room. Alex gave a little clue, but I don't think it was really meant to mean anything because it was very cryptic. And yeah, so it was just luck based, and I just wasn't lucky with it. I just chose one and stuck with it basically for the whole time. Instead of like walking around and choosing different ones, I just went with instinct basically. And it's the studio. It's from a particular series, the steampunk design. I can't remember what it was now, but they've just kind of designed it after, because of the room is every series. It's like if you go back to series 1, it looks so empty compared to how it looks now, because every series they changed the theme in, and they've just kept adding to it, which yeah, it just changes it up a bit for the look, but yeah, it's based on the steampunk design. Then you go into part of the garden, but then you go through into the lab. The lab task I actually did, well, I won. I was in the winning team. It's a team task. You just join up with someone, and you basically have to work out how it's a combination that Alex just lists off, and it's ridiculously long, but there's little clues around the room. Like, you remember the first 5 digits of pi is one of them. All this, like, it's a trillion at the end, and you've got all the zeros. You have to double the duck, so it's like 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, so on, and you have to put all that in. It's like 7 lots of the double, so it ends in, I can't remember, it's basically 1 is the first, I think, and then it's like 7 to the last, but I was decent at that really, because I'd sort of remembered how to do it on a calculator. I remember the first few, and then just need to double it a couple of more times. Then, yeah, you have to enter the code. Yeah, the first two were quite, because the first bit is Alex was born in 1978, so you start with 1978. Then it's a reverse, because it's in a birthday card. There's a reverse version of the birthday card, so it's just 1978 backwards. So yeah, they're the first two, and then you've got sort of. But it was good to work it all out with that one. That's sort of where I really started getting into it, because it's more based on like skill at that point. Then the fourth and final like group task, where everyone in the group, it was 12 in my group, did it, was in the shed, and it was basically, you had a few blocks on the table, and you had to go and get different things from each of the shelves, and 3 things, and then you had to come back, and then you had to, the second part was that you had to build a tower that was tall, that could support an egg. Mine wasn't too bad, I don't think. I think it was like, in terms of the actual task, it was like 5th or 6th, I think. Basically, I picked a bouncy ball, a bamboo ring, and but it was like a deflated bouncy ball that ended up being the only useful thing. A curved like pipe joint was the next thing. It didn't work with any of the blocks really, so I just used the bouncy ball as like a nest to hold the egg. And the assistant was like, I mean, it's probably going to add about like 0.5 millimeter, and I was like, it probably will, but at the same time, it was to support the egg, because the egg would just roll off if I put it on the top of a flat block. So it was just like a nest. That was the only thing that was useful really. So I should have picked some buckets and things, but again, it's one of those tasks you need hindsight to really get it. So if I ever did it again and got the same thing, then the same lot of tasks, then I'd know exactly how to do it. So I'd definitely do absolute casserole if I did it again, because then you get a whole different bunch of tasks. Then you go into the final task, and it's only the top 5. They had to do a tie break where they had to guess like how sort of it was, I think it was like the closest number to how many ducks, and that includes pictures and physical ducks inside of the Taskmaster house in the experience. And yeah, so the 2, and then they ended up getting the top 5, which is the final task. So the winners had to basically knock over cans with throwing socks, and then the losers, which was the rest of the group, so 5 people won, and then the rest of the group, they basically had to guess how many times Alex said M and like T and M in a sentence. And I guessed 40, and it was completely off. It was like 100 and something, I think. So I was completely off. It was like 170 maybe. It was ridiculous. I was way off. But yeah, so I ended up being, but only one person won. They never put a leaderboard, because it was just for the losers. It was basically who was the best of the losers, which, well, I know they've talked about doing it. Denmark did that, where it was like a redemption thing. But there was also a reference at the start. Greg said, "I am the Taskmaster, not the handsome New Zealand guy or the Swedish woman," because, well, if you've watched the New Zealand one or Basti Test, then you'll know exactly what he's talking about. I love how there's references to the other versions, because I didn't think there would be, like the international ones. That's really good, because obviously I've watched all of the international ones, and just the fact there's a bit of reference to some of them. But yeah, and then you basically leave. You get to see a bit behind the scenes, because you just leave through like part of the thing. That's the only bit where it looks a little bit temporary, because you just kind of leave through the back of the warehouse. But because the photo failed, it went into 2 other rooms, which basically established the fact that in the different rooms of the house, there's different versions of different tasks, and there's 2 of each like corridor set. So that's all there's 4. And I got to see that the other final task is like a thing with a buzzer round. I'm not really sure what the task is, and there's like, instead of a keypad where you have to type a number in for the losers, it's just like a red button. So Yeah, completely different, and that means that if you got picked, well, if you chose, because you get to choose, if you chose one of the other tasks, then you get put in one of the other corridors, and you do a completely different series of tasks. It seems so. That's really interesting. Yeah, there's two of each, probably just the throughput, to be honest. Um, but yeah, but it's a really good experience, and while it's still here, definitely come and see it, especially if you're a fan of the show.